Hello everyone, welcome to the land down under and welcome back to round 3 of the Svenska Eracingligan. You join us here at Bathurst, Mount Panorama circuit in iRacing, and Tony, this is going to be a great race tonight.
It absolutely is. As soon as I saw the schedule and saw that it was going to be GT3 cars here at one of the most fabled GT circuits in the world, I was just as excited as you are, Jason. And, I don't normally follow GT3, but this series has really opened my eyes to what's possible in a full-fendered car.
Exactly, it really is a great time racing, and it is going to be a bit of a different format here tonight as I bring up the race information here. So we've been used for the past 2 rounds to having the 2-race format with a reverse grid. This time it's just going to be a straight race to the finish, 1 hour of hard racing here around the 6.14 kilometre track in Bathurst, New South Wales. It's a fairly toasty day here on the iRacing service, 26 degrees ambient air temperature and 27 Celsius on the track. And a little bit of wind to contend with here as well. I'm not sure in which direction, it hasn't told me. But
13 degrees out of the northeast, which means down the Conrad Strait, these guys are going to be bucking a tailwind. So it's going to be actually pushing them down the hill, down the Conrad Strait, and it's going to get sketchy.
It may well get sketchy, but does that not make it more fun?
Oh, it absolutely does. But by the time they get to the chase and have to lift off the throttle pedal finally to make that little kink, the engines and the oiling systems are all going to be screaming like, "Please, just let me breathe."
Yeah, and we can see this track map here, and it looks. Well, obviously it looks very, very squiggly, but an impressive amount of that is flat, really, because you're going flat all the way from turn 4 up until Skyline, where you're having to, well, get on the brakes as late as you dare and not go over that bump too hard and not try and crash it into a wall.
Well, that's the thing. As soon as you cross over Skyline, it's off camber, almost like I would liken it to the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, only this is a little more treacherous.
Yeah,
because it's not just one corkscrew you got to deal with. There's about 4 of them from the time you get out of the Skyline until you get to Forest Elbow.
Exactly. If you're not already braking before Skyline as well, then you're not stopping, really. If you're not braking before you crest the hill.
Yeah, somebody's going home with a souvenir, mostly parts off your car.
Yeah, exactly. Great time for them, not so great time for the driver.
I got the guy! No, sorry. That was naughty of me, and I do apologize if I offended anyone with that statement. But, Jason, I don't know if you had a chance to try the local delicacy, but I was given something called a Vegemite sandwich earlier.
Right.
You know what? It wasn't as bad as people make it out to be.
I don't know. I mean, it's the same as Marmite, isn't it, really? You love it, you hate it. I think if I say it's the same as Marmite, I would be
No, it's definitely not the same as Marmite.
But...
It's definitely not the same as Marmite, because I've had Marmite, and that... Ugh.
See, I've had Marmite and not Vegemite. Fine with Marmite.
Okay, well... I'm not a big fan of figs, so...
I'm an interesting one. But while we wait
You said it, not me.
While we wait for qualifying to get underway, let's talk a little bit about the point standing. So Gustav Jonsson, after the 4 races in 2 rounds that we've had here, sits at the top of the pile. He's got a pretty healthy 59-point lead over Henrik Lindhoff. And then Sam Hammerstedt sits only 18 points behind him on 473, all 3 of those drivers in Porsche Esports. And honestly, Tony, I think Sam Hammerstedt has had a very bad time with trying to get through the pack in the second race of each round.
The inverts, have definitely hurt him each time that we've done it. Yeah, that's not going to be an issue here. And I mean, I'm looking at the practice times. He's a full second up over Dan Homer right now. I mean, dude, how are you that much quicker than the rest of the field? I just, the man's an alien. Let's call it like we see it. He is the proverbial alien.
I don't really know how that works myself, but whatever. As we do actually move into the qualifying session. So what we're going to do is follow the man himself, as he's probably going to be looking to set the pole position lap, as we have seen for the past 2 rounds.
Sure, why not?
We can have a nice little onboard lap once we get round there as well. It's quite a long circuit. Lap times are firmly going to stay over 2 minutes.
He's coming up what they call the mountain straight right now, and then into turn 2 with Griffiths Bend, and then you've got the double apex left-hander that they call the cutting that he's coming up to now. And this is all uphill. This is all grunt horsepower out of whatever your engine can give you. Into Quarry Corner, up into Reed Park, then the left-hander going into Frog Hollow, up into Solman Park, and this is what we were talking about. He's coming up on Skyline right about now, and if you're not on the brakes before you crest that hill, you're not getting the car woed down to go through the S's and the dipper.
No, exactly. I think that's the one place on the mountain where track limits are not the wall. Are those S's after Skyline, is because you do actually have a bit of runoff there, because, well, otherwise this track would be even more crashy than it already is.
You're not wrong. Down the Conrad Straight with that tailwind of about 12 mile an hour if you're into Imperial units. And then, I mean, you're just on the throttle for so long coming out of Forest Elbow until you get to where he is coming up to right now in the chase. You really have to jump on the binders to get that car to make the second and third corners of the chase, turns 20, 21, and 22, and then through Murray's Corner and back onto the main straightaway.
Yep, and luckily for us, we have actually mounted a camera on the roll bar of Sam Hammerstedt's car as we roll down into turn 1, braking into second gear for the left-hander. And, well, now you've got some time to think about your entry to turn 2, put a hot dog on the barbecue.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's right there. You're starting the uphill climb on the mountain straight and into Griffiths Bend again. And it like we were talking about on his outlap, it's all horsepower and torque through here. You know, if your engine's not making a good grunt, you're not going to have a good time. And it's all about trying to carry that momentum until you get to Skyline.
Yeah, exactly. And with that carrying momentum, all the way from the cutting, still up here, this is flat. These cars just haven't enough downforce to get flat, and then lifting off and then onto the brakes, just on the edge of grip there, as we're now heading down the mountain and using all the possible track limits you can. So just try not to graze the wall on your way down to Forest Elbow, and then out and onto an even longer straight.
Try not to graze the wall coming out of Forest Elbow, is that Jersey barrier comes up on you very quickly, and you know, you're absolutely right. You're over 4 seconds of full tilt. The only straightaway that these cars would run on that's longer was the old layout at Le Mans, you know, down the Mulsanne, that was the only straightaway that was longer than the chase, and they've shortened the chase. Conrad Strait. They've shortened that, added the chase about 25 years ago to try to slow these cars down because they were hauling it off into Murray's Corner north of 200 miles an hour.
Yeah,
and that's scary.
Exactly, and the lap that we've just seen from Sam Hammerstedt from the onboard view, that's scary as well. It's 2:02.743 for him, and in practice we only saw one man break the 2:02 mark, and that was the man we were on board with. So I think we have seen the pole lap, personally.
There's a good possibility. Christian Sorensen is a lot closer than they were in the practice session. Only about 7/10 behind right now, but the slugfest is for the rest of the top 5, as you've got 4 cars separated by less than a tenth.
Yeah, exactly, and moving from one Force Esports car to another, having a look here at Oscar Fredriksson, who's going to try and improve his position. His lap so far was at 2:13. That isn't a representative time. So as he's moving down through for a Selbo, and actually is grazing that wall with his right rear, that's not particularly going to help.
Yeah, that's definitely not what you're looking for.
Yeah, we'll get a bit of an idea as to what his time is going to be. As I still find it insane how late you can brake in these cars.
Yeah, it is impressive, the technology that they use in these GT3 cars these days. And you can actually, most of the manufacturers in this series will allow you to buy this car from the factory. You can buy a GT3 spec car directly from the manufacturers. Just make a couple minor modifications, add a fire system, and you're ready to go racing.
Yep, you absolutely can, and it turns out that lap was actually invalid for Fredriksson, so we are not going to see what that was. I think that would have been a 2:05, so not particularly up there, but it definitely would have been an improvement over 25th. Let's see, I think
2:13 for Fredriksson. That last lap was a 2:13.20, though it did get negated by track limit.
That's the last valid one. I think Philip Axelson is improving here. We'll take a look what that time is when he crosses. Was it an improvement? I think it was, but it didn't do anything to his position.
Still have only one driver that has gone sub 2 minutes 3 seconds, and that of course is Sam Hammerstedt. Christian Sorensen currently sitting second quick, only 7 tenths. I can speak, I promise I can, folks. Only 7 tenths behind Hammerstedt, but the battle behind him is very close. With Dan Holmer, Gustav Sorensen just backed it into chase.
That's not how you want to do it. The reverse entry drift doesn't tend to be quicker, admittedly, but one man who is hoping to go quicker is Philip Ansel. He's currently sitting in 5th place. This track is made up of 6 sectors on iRacing. He's improved in the 1st and the 4th. If you can improve in the 6th, might be quicker than the time he has already set. Let's see what it's going to be when he crosses the line. And I didn't get a time in. No, I did get a time in. It was unfortunately 2 tenths off for him, but he does get pushed down by Michael Fleederson, who has just set a 2:03.6, so a lovely time there. We've got 4 drivers within a second of Sam Hammerstedt.
Very nice. And a little bit of shakeup in the field here tonight at Bathurst. As you would expect, it's a Mercedes-heavy field, as we usually end up having. However, one Ferrari a few BMWs, and 2 Audis. Not what we're used to seeing, or at least early on in the season. We haven't seen more than 1 Audi on track at a time. So the fact that there's 2 of them tonight, 1 Ferrari, 1 Porsche, and then a slew of Mercedes and BMWs, that is going to kind of tell you what we're in for tonight. But it looks like Christian Sorensen and Dan Holmer have been able to break up that Mercedes logjam that's been at the front of these fields for the first 2 rounds of the season. 2 BMWs in the top 3.
Yep, absolutely. And then take a look at our grid for this race. So, starting in the front row will be Sam Hammerstedt, as we are used to seeing, and then Christian Sorensen. It's not a Force Esports lockout up at the front, which is good to see for some of these other teams. Maybe not so much for Force, who have been used to dominating up at the front. Then we've got Daniel Holmer and Michael Fliedersen third and fourth. Gustav Jonsson and Philip Ansel start on the third row. Tim Orskog and Linus Dahlman in row 4. Row 5 is going to be Joko Hurt and Lucas Holmeren, with row 6 going to Jonas Gunnarsson and Philip Axelsson. Tony.
Richard Aldrich and Will Pauna going to roll off in row number 7. Row 8 sees Robert Eriksson and Felix Olsen. Haken Ware going to roll off in... Urt. Sorry. Haken Urt is going to roll off inside row number 9. He's going to be joined with Robert Lundgren. Marcus Stiller and Pontius Nordgren. I can talk. I promise I can, folks. That's going to be row number 10. Row 11 sees Dennis Scherp and Frederick Carlson. Linus Holmberg and Philip Broberg are going to roll off in row number 12. Row 13, Victor Hammerstrom and Oscar Fredrickson. And then in row number 14, we have Jakob Ulrichsen and Sebastian Magnussen. So 28 cars scheduled to roll it here tonight. 1 hour, the scheduled distance, 66% fuel fill. So that's something these guys are really going to have to be mindful of. Just over half a tank to get them around. And that wind, again, Jason, it's gusting. And that's definitely something they're going to have to be careful of, especially when they get into the chase, because it's going to be pushing the back end of the car around in ways that they're not going to be comfortable with. Yeah,
absolutely. And a quick apology, as the pace truck is going to peel off to Sebastian Magnussen, whose full name did not show up, as I think it's just a little bit too long for the grid slot to handle. So we've rounded turn 1 and the last turn, and Sam Hammerstedt's already gone. He's got a good gap, and Daniel Holmer's looking down the inside now of Christian Sorensen, trying to get up into second place from his starting spot of third. And it's looking good, though they're going to be side by side down into turn 2. Loads of cars side by side through here, maybe trying to make it 3 wide there a little bit. There's not going to be space for that one.
Gustav Jansson was thinking about it and thought better of it, but those 2 BMWs that he's running around are putting in work right now. As Sorensen finally gets the clear, Jansson goes into third, Holmer back to fourth. Here comes Ansel and Helidesen, though, as they're still going after each other.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I would be surprised to see any moves made up here. Obviously, this section where you're flat out is very much so a one-line section through the mountain. You can tend to get away with it just after Skyline, but oh dear, I think we've had our first. Yeah.
Yes, we have.
That's definitely our first victim of the mountain. Pontus Nordgren in the sole Ferrari. is very much missing the front end. I'll have to take a look at what happened for that one. And coming through, just gets unsettled on the curb.
That car is still not
Ooh.
right. Finally towing.
It looks like Victor Hammerstrom caught him on the way through as well. So that's not going to be running for it. But as we go back live, I think something's happened to Linus Dahlman now, but Gustav Jonsson has made his way up into second. We're passing both Sorensen and Holmer to get up to there, and you can see the lead that Sam Hammersted's already got. It's been a lap.
Okay, so I just went back and looked at what happened to Dahlman. He got into it with his teammate in the 124. The BMW sent it up the inside going through the chase, and contact was made.
Contact is never great, especially when it's with your teammate, but I guess these things happen sometimes in racing, and well, unfortunately they may have broke rule 1 today of being teammates.
Try not to kill each other.
But was it at least a highlight?
No.
Ah, well that's a shame.
It was a Spanish archer, if anything else. It was just the old elbow, just so got pushed wide, came back on track. Robert Lundgren in 19th, and Oscar Fredriksson, well, they finally got that one sorted out, but the BMW coming out on top of the big bad Merc right there as they're coming through the S's right now, and into Forrest Elbow. Fredriksson gets into the wall again.
Oh dear, and it looks like Sebastian Magnussen's had an issue as well. As we come up into the chase, currently following a battle here between Robert Eriksson defending from William Pauner. There's not going to be a move into the chase this time around, but it looks like there is going to be something here. Carlson and Hellberg, that is still how it was at the start of the straight. Let's take a quick look back then at what happened to the driver of the 877 Mercedes Superior Top Dogs car, coming through to Forest Elbow and just sort of follows another car through. I believe that would have been that Broberg that he followed in? Yeah.
Yeah, the bright esports car got into the Falcon wall.
Oh.
Coming through the elbow, and they both ate concrete.
We were following Hellberg, and then we come back to live, and he's in the pits. Oh, yeah, that'll do it. So, coming out the final corner, just too much curb, maybe a little bit of grass, and unfortunately that spits you out into that pit wall, and that is firmly a hard pit wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's showing up as part of it is tire covered, but the part that he hit is just solid concrete.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was just, when he was trying to get back on the power coming out of Murray, that the back end just washed out on him, and around she goes. Yeah,
unsurprisingly after that one he jumped straight to the pits, but let's take a little onboard view of Philip Ansel as he tries to close down the gap to Daniel Holmer. So I think the gap being closed down is the one in front of us, actually, as we ride on board. So we may get to see a driver's eye perspective of a move here if he's feeling brave. Wasn't quite close enough to make it. Would have been some BMW on BMW crime there.
Watching the battle with the 73 of Dahlman and Will Pauna going after each other. one of your closest battles on track, although it is back just outside the top 10.
Well,
73
it looks like...
not wanting to let rest on his laurels right now.
Yeah, exactly. Sees an opportunity, goes for it. Are they still going to be side by side down Mountain Straight? Looks like they are going to be. We may have a player 3 involved in the game as well, as that BMW is looking menacing. Bump drafting here between the Audi and the Bimmer down towards turn number 2, as Linus Dahlmann able to come out of that scrap ahead, and great movement from Håkan Hurt, who has decided to support the correct car. But I was just looking in front, it looked like there was an incident here, as I think Ericsson and Gunnarsson were going slowly. It may have been to avoid something else. It says Philip Axelsson had a crash.
Oh my, yes he did.
I'm expecting something spectacular here. Into the cutting, loses the rear end, and yep, ooh, gets tagged there then by what would that have been Gunnarsson, I think?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's take a look up now for third place, as Daniel Holmer is now finally trying to get past Christian Sørensen once and for all, and does so, and then also a battle behind them with Michael Haflidason and Philip Ansel going at it, and Haflidason made that pass stick into the chase. I think maybe a little bit of flashing there from the Mercedes behind him, so maybe not too happy with how the move was done, but the move is firmly done here. And more action now into the final corner. Marcus Stiller and Oscar Fredriksson. Fredriksson able to hold that one around the outside of the last turn to hold on to 17th position, rather.
Battle for 5th and 6th between Haflidason and Ansel, as Haflidason just sent it going into corner number 2 as they come up through the cutting. Those two BMWs are putting in work in front of these guys. You know, it's impressive to see that BMW is finally getting its feet under themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen pretty much Mercedes dominance all season, and it seems that we've come to Bathurst and there's more BMWs, and evidently the BMWs are doing a bit better. We still do have Mercedes 1 and 2, but I think the 1 was always going to be there, and the 2 has put in a great job today to, so far at least, come through from 5th place and solidify himself in 2nd place with a 2-second gap to 3rd.
Exactly, and you know, the fact that we're only on lap 5 and Sam Hammerstedt has a 5.5 second lead already, that's both impressive and scary.
Well, he's putting out pretty much a second a lap.
Right.
So, I guess I'd say...
Go ahead.
For us, it's unfortunately what we may have been expecting.
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely was. You know, being as there's no invert tonight, he's just going to let that thing eat, and that big bad Merc is really dialed in tonight, as Haflidason going after Sorensen right now. A little BMW or Mercedes on BMW crime there for 4th and 5th, as they're trying to get that one sorted out. Still bump drafting down the mountain straight, or up the mountain straight, I should say.
Yeah, this is a good run, and he is forced to go around the outside of the BMW. They make contact here in turn 2, and that's going to send the 81 into the inside wall. Contact on his rear right, sending that car round, and he's going to have to try and get that one turned around without going onto the racing line. There are cars passing by. They were 3 wide for a second there. There are a couple of cars that are still side by side. William Powner was making a move on the Porsche, or was he defending? I think he may have been defending actually, but
Yeah,
either way, there was contact there, and he's probably not going to be too happy about it.
Well, Sorensen looks like he might just have just a little bit of damage on that front canard, or splitter, if you will, but really no harm. It was a racing deal, you know, and it wasn't really anyone at fault. It's just the overtaking car didn't get the clear before trying to move over to throw a block, and it looks like we've got a problem with Marcus Stiller.
Yep, it does. We'll go back to that once we see the resolution of this battle between 13th and 14th place. William Powner now having to defend hard from Rickard Allard. Sorry if I've pronounced your last name wrong. Please let me know. As the Porsche is going to be going for the inside into the chase. Tries braking later than that. Mercedes does so to perfection and takes 13th place. There's going to be some defending to do from Powner, but maybe not immediately, as Oscar Fredriksson trying to make his way past Felix Olsen in this, and there's contact made there as well, but not quite as devastating as the last bit of contact we've seen.
It absolutely isn't, but the problem with Stiller is he got it wrong coming through the dipper, and just around she went, and he just nosed it into the wall.
Yeah, and Frederick Carlson's had an issue. He's having a few more issues by the looks of things with that injured car. We'll take a look at what that issue may have been afterwards, but there was contact there between himself and Broberg, I believe, behind him. There's going to be a move made into turn 2, going for the inside. BMW on BMW crime, as Broberg does take that place. I think Carlson's car is fairly injured at this point in time. Let's take a quick look as to what happened here. So it runs off a bit onto the grass on the exit of the chase, and then...
He has some suspension damage. That's the only thing I can figure.
Ooh. Actually, no, I don't think so. It might have just been tyres were slightly cooked, because he touched the grass on braking.
Yeah.
That's about it. That sent him round. But we did say we'd have a look at what happened to Marcus Stiller a little bit earlier. It's on the mountain, I can feel what's coming. Little bit too hot there. Sending it round and miraculously not hitting anything, but still deciding to jump to the pits after that one, and the replays don't stop. Linus Dahlman has also got it wrong somewhere in that Björk Bears Audi.
Oi.
Ooh. Was just a minor little mistake, which allowed one of the Bright Esports BMWs to get alongside him, and then they made contact, and then that sends the 73 round. They was get that one going again though, in the end, so...
Got an absolute slugfest just outside the top 10 with Haken Weert and Richard Allard going after each other right now. The lone Porsche trying to make something happen on the BMW as they come up through. That was sketchy.
That's a new corner name.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is going to put the Porsche driver on the back foot here, as William Powner is right behind him. In fact, did I see side by side?
You did.
So I better not have seen side by side up there. Oh dear. Ah! Yeah, that is a Mercedes facing sideways. luckily off the racing line and trying to get that turned while not being on the racing line for too long.
Speaking of Mercedes trouble, Sebastian Magnussen having issues coming up through Frog Hollow. Just got it all wrong and pointed the thing the wrong way on a one-way street.
Yeah, he never actually ended up pointing the wrong way, but I guess would have done suspension damage in that incident, so decided best to jump to pits rather than trying to go down the entire mountain. Now the battle for 10th place rages on as that Porsche of Ricard Allard, the Team Bushfink Racing Porsche, comes past into turn 1, but then the run up the mountain straight and in towards turn 2, he is owned by Håkan Hurt. But much later on the brakes for the Porsche driver, car number 302. So he is able to keep that position wrestled away so nicely at turn 1.
Well, I think what we're seeing is the balance of the Porsche is a little more stable than the BMW, and that's really what made that pass happen for Allard. You know, you could see that he was able to brake later. He was able to get the car turned, and I think that's the advantage that he's going to have here tonight. Is that car is a slightly better balanced than the BMW, not quite as powerful as the Mercedes, but similar handling packages between those two cars. It's just the Mercedes has the grunt, the Porsche has the nimbleness.
Yeah, exactly, and we just saw a spun BMW. It was Felix Olsson got spun there by Michael Fleederson going into the cutting.
No, not the Nyan Cat car.
Unfortunately, it was the Nyan Cat car, yes. As speaking of Fleederson, there is a move being made on the 81 AM Racing Team car. He's able to fend that one off rather nicely there and keep that 13th place, as there are quite a few hard-fought battles here as we approach 20 minutes gone in this race. One car out of the race completely. Sebastian Magnussen, I believe, has left the session.
Norgren has.
Okay. Norgren,
yes, Magnussen has decided to put it on the hauler as well.
That was close between these two for 13th place, and maybe something else that's close here as well, considering Tim Orshkov's had a massive issue coming up the mountain. Does the tracking look quite right on that BMW? I'm not too sure.
It does not. It's definitely crab walking. And
it's got a slight amount of crab.
Just a little bit.
But the Porsche behind is going to have to wait until after the mountain to get a move done, so that's going to make an almighty train of cars behind him. But we'll have a look at what happened. I think we have enough time before the chase, to be honest, to have a look as coming into the cutting. Is it just going to be a loss of rear end? Oh, there was a car already stopped there. Fortunately, there was a car already stopped on the racing line, and he just had no choice but to pile into it, really. I think that was Daniel Holmer who got there. Let's take a look how he managed to get to that position. Okay, admittedly that doesn't show us much. Oh, he got crashed into again.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but didn't that happen about 5 years ago and cost Nissan a win in the real world 1000?
I'm not entirely sure, but I would imagine it's firmly possible. So for the 79, it was just oversteer coming through the cutting, then he gets hit, and then onto the scene comes Tim Orshgog, and not a good time for either of those BMW drivers. As we come back
right
into...
now doing everything he can to try to hold off the Mercedes charge that's
a
behind
spin.
him. There we go.
Right in front of us. Oscar Fredriksson got sent backwards into that outside wall as, well, naturally they were side by side coming up the mountain. And
which is never a good
sometimes that
idea.
don't work. Most of the time that don't work, and it didn't really work that time around. It wasn't
the worst we've seen.
Too bad.
I mean, it
just
had
a bit of a squeeze on the
so much
apex.
worse than it was.
Oh yeah, exactly. In fact, I don't think the rear damage is all too bad on the 14, considering what it could have been. 14, sorry, the 112. Although, judging by that straight line speed difference between himself and Ulrichsen, I may well be completely wrong.
Oh, I'm just watching that battle right now.
Well, that's
413.
off.
We had one. Yeah, I was going to say.
And someone
it had
else.
to have been Heflidison. No, that was Heflidison.
That was Daniel Holmer as well?
Homer's coming pit.
Yeah, but they were both off track. I don't know how that happened. Oh, they made contact with each other into the chase. Both went straight on. And both having to recover it off the grass. So just a bit of contact into the braking zone, and obviously that disrupts your braking, so you're going to be going straight on after that one. As we do have people pitting in now. Presumably for extra fuel, though it's going to be tight if you start pitting from now for making it, because a tank of fuel in a GT3 tends to last roughly just over an hour.
Yeah, I suppose they've only got a 65% fuel fill tonight.
Exactly. And oh dear for the 021 car, don't move there! That Force Esports Academy car is going to have a fun time trying to recover from that position. He's just about done it. Linus Dahlman having to take some avoiding action there. And you can see by those lights flashing, he's not too happy about it. Let's see how Holmerin got to that position. It looks like he was unassisted. And yeah, just took a bit too much speed into Skyline, and well, we were talking about it. That's exactly what happens when you do that. And really difficult position to recover from, so props to him for how he did it, to be honest.
Dahlman dives going into the cutting to finally get around Holman. As that BMW has definitely seen better days.
Yeah, it will have done. And we're seeing now Victor Hammerstrom trying to potentially make a move here on Philip Broberg, but it's not going to happen. That Audi not having the legs on the straight versus that BMW. I think both of them are damaged at least slightly, so as Broberg dives it into the pits. Let's put a few drivers in the pit lane at the moment.
Ericsson and Fredrickson still going after each other for 10th and 11th. The BMW does leave the Merc as they come up the hill. And some good forward momentum for both of them as Ulrichsen in the BMW is up 17. Fredrickson in the Merc up 15. And something just happened y'all can wear.
Yeah, I was going to say, not great news, I hear, for the Alpine Stars geodesic racing car, and, well, I'm going to be honest, that could have been a lot worse. Just a little backing into a tyre barrier at Forest Elbow.
As you do.
Just a little bit. He didn't actually lose any positions out of it, just some time. See how this pit strategy is going for people as Gustav Jonsson comes into the pits. So I believe that's the first of our top 5 to pull it down pit side.
It's about 32 minutes left in this hour-long main race here for round number 3 of the Svenska Eracingligan GT3 division. So Paso, Jason Stofford up in the booth with you for this one. And Jason, I think we've seen more action in this one race tonight than we've seen all season so far.
And we're seeing even more as you're saying that, as Oscar Fredrickson was having a nice little battle with Joachim Ulrichsen, but he's decided to get himself out of that situation as he had Gustav Jonsson right up behind the two of them as well. Now Jonsson just has to get through Ulrichsen to get himself some clean air, as that 336 40 Sports Academy car has pulled it pit side.
Can't say I blame him. And your leader Hammerstadt is in.
Yep, he is indeed to take that pit stop. As now we see the drivers who have taken their pit stop on the handy little graphic on the tower. So everyone from 15th and down has taken their pit stops, as that is no bueno for Ulrichsen, as he put it into the wall slightly on the exit of Forest Elbow. That's allowed Oscar Fredrickson right back through, as your top 4 currently are all in the pits. This battle is going to rage on. Yep, this battle is going to rage on. Ulrichsen trying to move down the inside at the chase. They're both going to leave each other room, and in the end Oscar Fredrickson is the victor there. Both of them are going to pull it down pit road as well. See how the pit entry is for both of them. Not the easiest pit entry to get right here, admittedly. It's the entire track isn't easy, and you didn't need to take that cone with you.
Sure you did. You always need to take a cone with you.
The cones don't deserve the abuse they get on this service. It's, what you see behind Christian Sorensen is not a battle, unfortunately, for the Pansel is just getting past a Ferrari?
Looks like Lucas Holmgren had some more issues coming through the... Yep, he did.
Pontus Nordgren is back in the race after his early issue. And who did you say had issues, sorry?
Holmgren had issues coming up through the dipper. Or down through the dipper, I should say.
Take a look at that. And, oh, yeah, that's a spin, hit on the front, hit on the rear. And unfortunately a hit to both doesn't even it out, it just makes it slightly worse. And Philip Broberg had some form of issue around a similar time. Similar sort of place. I think this is probably just after Holmgren had covered, and big hit to the front, slightly smaller hit to the rear, and that hood of that car is gone.
Big issues for Pania Snorgren. Just before Skyline. Go ahead and take a look at that one, Jason.
He is still stopped, yeah. Oh, interesting. That's weird. I'll take a look at that from cockpit cam. That's a strange crash.
Yeah, that was absolutely bizarre.
Time. Let's try. Apologies, we're just trying to get there as he touched some grass. Clearly, the car wasn't completely fixed after his first incident, and unfortunately, I think that's just going to put him out for good now. He's still unfortunately completed only 2 laps, as now every driver has completed their pit stops.
Well, that being the case, what do you say we step away and pay a couple of bills?
Yeah, sounds like a decent idea. We'll be back in a few. So, as I forgot to load an ad sequence, we are right back into the action. So, if you enjoyed that black screen for a little bit, I do apologise. But let's take a little onboard here.
Speaking of black screens, Jason, do you notice what's going on in the sim right now?
Regarding whom?
Regarding everybody.
Regarding the big yellow thing in the sky that's no longer being in the sky.
Yeah, that too. Definitely,
yeah.
That's going to make things interesting as this race wears on, as we still have about 25.5 minutes left in this race. Better make sure you don't get lost on track with forgetting which corner's coming up.
Luckily, the headlights are quite powerful on these GT3 cars as we are rolling it into the dark. This is not something... well, headlights, these are not something you'd be normally seeing on the Sim Racing Media channel. As a predominantly Oval Series channel, and a wise man once said on ovals, the cars don't need headlights because the track is always lit.
Well, most of the tracks are lit.
Yeah.
Looks like problems for Frederick Carlson and Gustav Janssen.
Yeah, indeed. Let's take a look at what happened to Carlson first of all. Coming into turn 2, is that just a little bit too much speed? A little bit too much speed. The rear end not happy about that one. And managing to avoid hitting any walls at any sort of speed, so that's good for him. Hopefully you got that one recovered. Looks like, yeah, like a successful recovery there. As for Janssen, this is a worse spot to have an accident. And that is a worse accident. Yeah. Did well to get it off the racing line and find the widest part of going down the mountain, but It's always the thing when you have an incident here. You have to do a 1,000-point turn, and Gustav Jonsson there actually had crashed out of second place.
And my simulator just froze up, so I'll be right back, Jason.
That's no worries. He was looking pretty good for that second place, but unfortunately that's put him down into 5th with damage, so that's not going to be a great one to recover, as the sun is setting very quickly here. It is getting noticeably darker by the minute. As we roll through with about 23 minutes remaining in this race, Linus Dahlman is going to look to make a move on Joachim Ulrichsen here. It's Björk Bears versus Superior, who is going to win out in this battle between the two German cars. They nearly had a physical battle there, as well as it was very, very close to contact. But the BMW able to hold it around the outside there, coming through turn 2. Lovely stuff. We'll follow them as they come up through the mountain and up towards Skyline. Where's this camera pointed? Pointed there, as we see 2 cars coming through and down into the dipper now. Following each other about as close as you'd want to. Like that Audi looking like it's going to firmly be better in the right-handers than in the left-handers. As I don't think that rear wing's going to be doing too much on the left-hand side.
Yeah, pretty much no.
Yeah, exactly, as we roll down towards the chase. Luckily, this is a track where you predominantly turn to the left, so he should be fine.
And Jason, I was just looking at the schedule while I was trying to reload my server. Not including this week, the next 2 weeks are going to be a dream setup if you're into road racing, as the stock car division, Next Gen Cup Series, if you will, goes to round number 3 at Sonoma next week, and then in 2 weeks we will be back with the GT3 cars from Imola. So,
very, very nice.
Absolutely, a great, it's definitely going to put the drivers to the test when they get into those Next Gen cars at Sonoma. It'll be the first road course we've seen yet this season for those cars. So with the latest update, I would expect sorry about that. I would expect the the handling package to not be quite as night and day as it was with the Gen 6 car going into
and
the GT3 in the Next Gen car, a little more combo.
Yeah, that was not the line through the cutting for Stalmar, and that's lost him a good second and a half. So that battle with the BMW ahead is over for now. Something has happened in the meanwhile to Fredrik Karlsson and Oscar Fredriksson. I think these two are going to be linked. Karlsson just spinning through the cutting, and yeah, I was correct. That was Fredriksson, if I can find him on the list. Going to have a bit more damage to that front end of the Mercedes. Now we are looking at William Alner going to try and make a move on Håkan Hurt coming into turn 1. Going to think better of it here. But we have the long straight down towards turn number 2 here. So plenty of time to try and make that move done as they crest the hill coming towards turn 2. William Powner tries to look round the outside. It's not going to be close enough. I think I have lost my co-commentator for now. So he will be back shortly. As the Mercedes driver is going to have to settle with following the BMW up the hill, the mountain I should say. And now then as well coming down. Maybe not as good of a descent for Powner, so not going to be close enough here as we come in towards the chase, but I think Stay's gone from not ideal to slightly worse here for Marcus Stiller, as he's had a spin coming down the mountain. Reversing it down to try and get it out of the way. And staying out of the way, was a BMW with no lights that came through there. Just watching the recovery on that one. He was able to get it going eventually. As we come back to Victor Hammerstrom, who is now ahead of the 021 BMW of Lucas Holmerin, who looks to be very damaged. Yeah, okay. I can see that, considering I can see the engine on that car, and the back of the car where the diffuser is supposed to be. Powner now once again right on the back of the Bright Esports by Overpower car of Håkan Schert. He is joined now by Michael Haflidason. Well, while we were focusing on this lovely battle, we've had another lovely battle. Change for second place. We'll go back to have a look at that after we get the resolution here. AMRT car going for a move. The independent of William Powner dives it down the inside at the chase, and the 81 able to make that move stick. And there's going to be no moves coming down into the final corner, so let's go and have a look, see how Philip Ansel got past Christian Sørensen. Could be coming down into the chase. It's basically deja vu here. It's the move that we saw between Haflidason and Powner, except it was between Ansel and Sørensen, so very popular overtaking spot there. Unsurprising, as it's after a long straight. But I have a feeling we're going to be seeing this train for quite a while, if nothing goes wrong, probably until the end, as we've got 14 minutes remaining in this race. Sam Hammerstedt with an extremely commanding lead, 30 seconds between himself and the car behind. So Fleeterson here Just sort of telling Håkan Hurt to get a move on. He's making a move here. Looked for it at least. Into Skyline through the S's coming down the mountain. Unconventional, and he knows it. If he would have stick that nose any further in, I think one or both of those cars would have been around. And he's definitely going to be looking for it here as we go down the Conrod Straight towards the chase. Or he's gaining, but is he gaining quick enough? We will have a look. Is he going to send it once again? Looks like not quite going to be close enough to have a bit of a send. But just shows his nose to the Bright Esports car up in front of him. Just to let him know that he is there. And he is now firmly there as he is alongside across the start-finish line and up into turn 1, able to make that move done. That's going to put Hot on the weak foot as he is coming down the mountain straight now for William Pauner, who is going to be looking around the outside of turn 2. It's doable, but it's difficult. And not quite doable here. As we saw a battle in the background as well between Dahlmann and Ulrichsen. Linus Dahlmann eventually able to get past the BMW driver. As still 48 minutes into this race, battles everywhere. I don't think there's been a single point where there hasn't been anything to see. As this is the second time that someone has tried to look and just stick a nose in through Skyline on Håkan Hurt. Second time in as many laps, in fact. And it looks to me like Linus Dahlmann is on a charge. Björkberg's racing Audi. It's now unconventional wing setup, looking to make even more moves. And just looking at the Twitch chat, yes, we are in English. Unfortunately, I cannot speak your language, as you can probably hear by how I'm pronouncing some of these names. So once again, I do apologise, but hopefully you can find the humour in it as well. As the Audi driver is going to have to tuck back into the slipstream. Not quite close enough yet to get an overlap. Trying to decide which side he wants an overlap. Both sides are open. Was looking for that inside, but unfortunately Pauner ahead of him had a slipstream, and so he just wasn't able to get alongside. Seeing a bit of train action here as the Bright Esports driver in 10th is going to have some defending to do. Let's have a let's go with Dahlmann. Let's have an onboard shot of. I think we've done that already, but it's always fun to have an onboard shot of the cars, especially coming through this section. Wall to the left, wall to the right, and you've just got to get as close to them as possible without hitting them to extract the maximum out of the car. And you've got to try and not hit other cars as well, as unfortunately William Pauner made a bit of a mistake through Forest Elbow. Linus Dahlmann could not react in time. I don't think anyone would have done, to be fair to him. Goes straight into the back of him, and that is the jackpot one for Joachim Ulrichsen, Superior Underdogs car. has been effectively allowed past these two from 13th to 11th in one lap. And I see that we had also, while watching that one go down, missed a Victor Hammerstrom holding it around the outside of turn 2. Fair play to you, sir. Going all the way around the outside of Robert Lundgren. Very impressive when anyone tries to take the long way around, especially there. As judging by the fact that my colleague is not back yet, I believe he has had some sort of internet issue, so hopefully we can get that resolved fairly soon, and let me get rid of that. As night has firmly fallen here. But just 20 minutes ago we could see at least something without lights. And you can see behind the lights of that Audi is nothing but darkness. So you better not damage that front end too much, because if those lights go, then you've got basically no choice but to tow. Whereas you may have been able to make it round when it was day. Absolutely not at the moment. As we are still following this slight train. I think admittedly the BMW at the head of it may be slightly slower than the cars behind him, and well, those cars are now ahead of him as well, we saw what happened live. The timing did not like him going the wrong way across the line. As it has once again fixed itself. He was temporarily very in the lead there, but that was never going to stick, as I think he just went too wide out the final corner. Yep, pushing it a bit too much on the exit of the final corner, getting onto that grass. And you never want to be on the grass, especially not there, and has been displayed now unfortunately not once but twice in this race. Our sole Porsche has also had a moment. 302, the Team Bushfink Racing car has had a little spin, and well, the unfortunate thing about it being night as well is that you don't tend to see things until the last minute. That was some good avoidance there by that Mercedes. As it looks like as we come into the final 5 minutes of this race, Robert Lundgren may have some defending to do, as he's got Lucas Holmgren directly behind him, the Force Esports Academy car, to make up some more positions. And once again, I would love if I could tell what was going on in the Twitch chat. Unfortunately, I cannot. But hopefully you're enjoying it. I don't see any words that I recognise as naughty words, so hopefully I'm doing a decent enough job. As was that a problem for Victor Hammerstrom, or was he just letting people through? I think that must have been some form of issue. As he is, yeah, he's also coming into the pits, so that's firmly then a large issue for Hammerstrom, and in fact it happened all the way back. Oh dear, that's a lot of speed carried into there, and yikes, that is a massive hit. All the way back in the cutting, and that's why he was slow. I'm surprised that suspension was still on that car, to be honest. But that's going to be a long pit for him, so I think that's just going to be race over in that case. But closest battle on track now once again. Superior versus Björkbeers. BMW versus Audi. Ulriksson versus Dalman. As we are coming through onto the final few laps. Our leader Sam Hammerstedt, who we really haven't been focusing on since lap 1, has now completed 27 full laps, and he's just coming through the mountain section. So, I believe he will take the white flag the next time he comes across. That is basically confirmed now, as there is no help in front of Ulriksson, so Dalman should be able to get alongside. And he is shown the inside here. But maybe it wasn't the slipstream last time, maybe it was just that the Audi doesn't have as good top end as that BMW does, because that was not good coming up into the turn for Dalman. So if he is lacking in top end, he's going to have to try and find another way through. But unfortunately for him, this is Bathurst. And he's only got about a lap and a half to find his way through. Sam Hammerstedt now going to be on his final lap of the race. Well, that is not what you want to see. When you've got lights flashing behind you, you either hope that that it's just the driver flashing you, or unfortunately they may be blinking. I think that was a blink from Linus Dalman, as I think this is going to be one of his last chances here, actually, even though he does have 6 kilometers left to go. He's going to have to get it done before the end of a straight. Have to be a really nice exit here. He's going to be catching, but I wonder whether it's enough. We have ticked over the hour mark. So now, coming up to the final corner, Sam Hammerstedt is going to come across the line to win here at Bathurst, as we have battles galore behind him. Robert Lundgren just about getting past Felix Olsson by the time they reach the checkered flag. So something happened to Lundgren to put him in that position. May have a look back at that. But for now, Dalman has less than half a lap to try and wrestle 9th place away from Joachim Ulrichsen here. So I'm not sure whether it's going to happen. They've got that traffic to go through. That's Håkan Hurt, actually. They were fighting him earlier, but that damage clearly having a massive effect on that car. He's just trying to limp home, as I think that Audi is not going to be close enough. It'll take one hell of a send. But he may be in the ballpark to try something here into the final corner. But it was a good exit enough, good enough exit rather, for the 311. So it's not going to be enough for our Audi driver. One of two Audi drivers in this race, in fact. The other being Victor Hammerstrom. Not going to be enough for him to get 9th place. But fantastic drive then overall for Joachim Ulrichsen. And something I don't believe we mentioned so far in the broadcast. We wonder, why is every driver still going around the track? Well, the solid reason for that, unfortunately, I don't have a camera set up at the infamous jump here. But you may know that there is a jump at this track, and well, there is a bonus point on offer here for anyone who can do the jump. Sorensen didn't get the memo. For anyone who can do the jump and make it back around. That's not doing the jump. That's a heavy G impact there. Is Tim Orskog going to have enough? He's not going for it. Linus Hellberg went for it. Didn't have enough juice behind it. Where Orskog ended up. Is Haflidason going to have a go? Make it look even more difficult to spot in the dark. Oh! Oh! Nearly made it. Nearly made it there. Let's keep an eye on the other drivers who will be trying to make the jump. Oh, that didn't go well. Ooh! Now that's a crash! I was gonna say let's do some interviews, but I want to look back at that one first. That's impressive. We've had top 10 moments. That might be a not top 10 moment as another car comes flying in. I think I'm just going to keep playing back replays of the same thing while we reach out, as Tony has returned, while we reach out and interview our 3rd place driver number 43, Christian Sorensen. How are you?
I'm good. Sweaty. Super sweaty.
Right, my first question is going to be, did you make the jump?
Nope.
Damn. Well, that's one bonus point out the window.
I didn't try.
Okay.
I just went around.
Well, that's fine then. I guess we've seen some spectacular crashes from it, so I recommend going and watching that. But 3rd place in the end at Bathurst. It's admittedly one lower than you started, but I still don't think you can be too displeased with that.
No, not at all. I'm not even supposed to be up here with these guys. Bathurst is a track I'm put fairly amount of my laps into, so I'm happy with the result.
It was a great result, and I guess as with any Bathurst race, it's just sort of about staying out of trouble, and clearly you did that well.
Yeah, as I said, I've been driving the BMW at Bathurst the last year or so on the special events and all the races that's been there. So I'm fairly comfortable with the BMW there. So I'm super happy with the result.
Yeah, that'll definitely help. But were there any moments where you thought maybe it could all go wrong?
Yeah, I had an incident there with Haftelsson in turn 2. I picked up some damage, and then I almost lost it in the dipper ones. So it was close, but I managed to hold it together. So.
And it's a good job you did. But looking forward, 2 weeks' time, back to the 2-race format with a 20-minute sprint and then a 45-minute feature at Imola. How are you feeling for that one?
Ooh, that's a rough one. I'm not a super fan of Imola, so I don't think you're gonna see me up here in the top 3 anymore this season. So nah, this was the race I was looking forward to. So
Yeah, well, we can agree to disagree about our opinions of the Italian track, but before we let you go and celebrate your podium, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
yeah, I would like to thank my team, Tim and Linus, a buddy team, and all the arrangement of the series. They're doing a superb job. So yeah.
Yeah, well, congratulations, and we'll let you go and celebrate it.
Thank you.
Tony, you with us?
I am, but I have no live timing and scoring.
Okay, that's fine. I will conduct interviews as such then, and next driver we'll bring in is our second place finisher, Philip Ansell, in the number 47, up 4 positions to second place. How do you think that went for you?
Well, I'd say I'm very, very satisfied with this finishing position, considering the circumstances. I bought the track yesterday, got home from training, put in 20 minutes of practice before qualifying, and I was expecting myself to be around the top 5, but to be standing here in second, that was not expected when I started this race. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted.
Well, I mean, you kept it out the walls and you kept consistently good lap times. That's about what you've got to do at Bathurst, and you managed it. So
somewhat, I would say. I did scrape the wall once, I think, through Skyline when I was chasing Christian when I was in third after the pit stops, and that basically gave me 3/10 of straight line speed deficit. So every single time we'd go down the back straight or the straight after turn 1 was that he'd gain 3-4 tenths on me every single time. So that definitely kept me awake as the night progressed.
yeah, but I don't think anyone can come through completely clean, to be honest, from a Bathurst race.
Nah, I do have to agree with that, and of course a little bit of fortune along the way with people spinning. So yeah, but I'll take it definitely.
Yeah, fortune on your side, and the question on everyone's mind: did you complete the jump?
Depends on what you define as complete the jump. I did make it over the tire barrier. In one piece, I would say questionably. But I mean, yeah, I've only seen what counts as a completed jump, not as a failed one. So until I see one, I'm going to say that I did complete it.
Yeah, I think the definition was making it back to the line under your own power.
Yes,
having
that I did.
Murdered your car.
Oh, the car was murdered, but I did make it across the line in the end.
Well, we'll see how generous the organisers are feeling for the bonus point. But how are you feeling then, coming in 2 weeks' time into Imola?
That's a really good question. Imola is a track which I have done a lot of F3 around previously for another league, but I haven't had that a lot of experience, especially in iRacing. I did do one race on ACC around there, but it's completely different to this. But yeah, if I can keep the form which I've had a decent running in Road Atlanta and now really good performance here at Bathurst, then I definitely fancy my chances for another top 5 next week.
And before we let you go and celebrate the second place, is there anyone you'd like to thank before we go?
No one in particular, of course, was at my team Shazoo, of course, that are still sticking with me and continuing to believe in me, I suppose. Who I've just realised I've completely forgotten to set as my official team in this series. So
Well,
I don't think they'll be too happy with me.
We know it now, you've mentioned them. We'll just remember that for the past 2 races, and I'm sure we can get that sorted out for Imola, but congratulations, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you there as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And finally, so Sam, we're used to bringing you in after the first race. There is no second race to contend with, but admittedly, we didn't see much of your race because you just left.
Yeah, I'm a bit happy about not having to worry about the reverse grid on the second race tonight. So a bit more relaxed and just thinking about not making any mistakes on my own.
Yeah, I think starting first seems to be a bit more your style as opposed to starting 20th, but I guess that's true for everyone. As were there any moments where you feel like you could have lost it? Because admittedly, we didn't really see you.
No, when I was on my own, I took it pretty easy because I felt I had good speed. So even if I let off, I could still create a gap between me and the other guys. So the only times were when there were lapped cars, and yeah, I wasn't really sure when they were going to let me by or which side they were going to pick.
Yeah, well, another question for you then is, did you complete the jump?
No, I did not. I got the right line, but unfortunately, I almost did a front flip, so the landing was a bit shaky.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be able to get it fixed. It's fine. But as we head forward, looking forward into another 2-race format in Imola, how are you feeling for that one?
Well, I like the track very much, so I think the pace is going to be good there. But then with the reversed grid, we'll see. I'll be careful like usual, and then hope I don't get stuck in any situations like I have now. A bit more luck.
Yeah, hopefully so. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I have to thank my team, Force Esports, for all the support and help, and of course my teammates, and also Mabihir, Bilar, and Kappa Bar for their support of the team.
Well, congratulations, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you again in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
So, Tony, that just about rounds us out for today.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had the blue screen of death, and I could not get my computer to fire back up until the checkered flag had already flown. But Jason, yeah, from what I did see, Mount Panorama, not disappointing. You know, it always gives good action. A lot less carnage than I was expecting. I have to admit that. You know, normally whenever I've come to a race here on the mountain, there's a lot of trouble coming through the S's, and you know, from the top of the S's down into Forest Elbow, there's normally a lot more carnage than we saw tonight, and it just goes to show the level of skill that's in this field from top to bottom.
Absolutely, we have some very great quality drivers in this league, the best that Sweden has to offer. And speaking of, let's take a look at the results. So, Sam Hammerstedt, as we predicted at the start of the race, and as we saw at the end of the race, came true. The 33-second lead over Philip Ansel and then Christian Sorensen. Yeah, exactly. Rounding out the podium, Jakob with a fairly quiet race, coming home in 4th, and Gustav Jonsson coming home in 5th. He was running in 2nd for a decent amount of time, but unfortunately had a little bit of a crash. But that is just Bathurst taking another victim. Robert Eriksson coming home in 6th with Tim Orskog in 7th, Michael Fleederson in 8th, Joachim Ulriksson in 9th, and rounding out top 10 is Linus Dahlman. Then we have William Palmer and Oscar Fredriksson down to 12th, rounding out the lead lap. Robert Lundgren, Felix Olsen, and Lucas Holmerin round out the top 15 with Jonas Gunnarsson, Dennis Scherp, Håkan Hurt, Marcus Stiller, and Victor Hammerström. 20th position. Then Rickard Allard, Daniel Holmer, Linus Hellberg, Philip Broberg, Philip Axelsson, Fredrik Karlsson, Sebastian Magnusson, and Pontus Nordgren. Rounds out the 28 drivers in the field. So don't worry, I don't have a black screen again. It's just that dark now. But yeah, yeah, exactly.
No lights are on this course, so
no, exactly, no lights. You got to do it the old-fashioned way with the 2 lights on your car. But that just about rounds us out for today for the Svenska Eracingligan, here brought to you by Sim Racing Media.
This is only the first race of a triple header today. The next race is going to be the Fired Up Esports League. Get your grip at the Paperclip at Martinsville tonight. That'll be a 7:15 Eastern Time start. And then the nightcap on Thursdays, as we always do, Sim Racers Edge, round number 4 at Watkins Glen. That'll be an 8:10 Eastern Time start on that one. And Jason, I can't get over just how exciting this race was. I mean, I knew coming into Bathurst that there was going to be a lot of action. I didn't think we were going to see as much side by side as we did.
Well, we definitely did see as much side by side. Admittedly, I was thinking roughly the same thing. I thought maybe it was going to be quite a lot of crashing, but this league always surprises me in a good way, and it sure did today as well, as we saw some great quality driving today. And where are we next week? In the
Sonoma.
Next Gen Sonoma. That's going to be a fun one as well.
So from one track with a lot of elevation change to another track with a lot of elevation change, just on a different continent. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, Jason, as I'm sure you are too, because it's one of the few times that we have not gotten to broadcast together in the other league that we do broadcast with each other. And I'm looking forward to actually seeing a race at Sonoma with you.
Yep, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it as well, but I think that just about rounds us out, Tony.
Sounds like a game plan, Jason. Let's call it a night. On behalf of Mr. Jason Salford, this is Tony Trapasso. Remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that until we meet again, and as you walk down the road of life this week, whatever you do, don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.
Good night.